Hey everybody, I'm back today with another video using some more of this fabulous collage from Marami's Small Art, Marta Lepowska. I hope I'm saying her name right. I apologise if I'm not. I've done a few videos now using some of the different books. I've got the industrial book with these little personas. I've got the autumn stories, and recently just got this Fairies in Bloom and backgrounds. I chose this one because I do like fairies. I do like the little girls, but I don't. I'm not a massive fairy type person. I don't use them a lot. I don't buy lots of products like stamps or anything like that with fairies. But I liked the fairies in here. I liked also the fact that there's a mixture. I'll give you a sort of a little bit of a flick through, but that's not the main aim of today. I'm going to make a page. But there's also birds. We've got flowers. I'm loving the musical notes and the scripty background in the pages. And I love the colours. The colours really appeal to me, but there's also a little bit more this rainbow-esque sort of vibe. Oh, butterflies as well. So I thought this was a really nice all-round book. So if you were looking at these books and you were thinking which would be the best for me, if you're looking for one that's got a bit of birds, a bit of flowers, a bit of butterflies, a bit of mushrooms, a bit of fairies, a bit of everything in a way, also a bit of backgrounds, then this is an ideal book to choose. I'm sort of I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to make. I'll give you a very, very quick flick. But if you go to Marta's channel, which is Marami Small Art, I will link it in the description along with the products that I'm using. I'll put links where possible. I have to say I am going to be using some of my older stash today, so they may not be stamps or things that are available anymore, but I'll certainly link to the brands where possible. I've forgotten what I was saying. Yeah, so that's it. I'll link to her channel. She has, for most of the books when they've come out, put a flip through. She's made projects with them. So do go over there and take a look if you want to find out a bit more. I'm thinking that today, in sort of real time, I say real time-ish because I don't want to sit and fussy cut everything out in front of you, really, because I think it can be a little bit tedious because I take forever. I'm going to make a little journal page with this journal. I did show it on one of my other videos. This is my my big journal, my bigger journal. It's not really a journal, to be fair. It's not meant to be a journal. It's a sketchbook from Royal Talons. This one, I've stuck together some of the pages to make them a lot thicker because I wanted to put watery mediums on there as well as all my collage. So this was from the Little Personas. This is from the Little Personas. And then this one, there's a video, should be already up, of this one from Autumn Stories. And this one I haven't made a video for, but this I was using the I'd got ink on my stencil, so I spritzed and blotted it onto the next page, and I thought that would make a really nice simple little page. And that's sort of given me the idea for doing a quite simple small page today. But this is my slightly bigger book. This one is exactly the same, but it's a smaller version. So this one is 9 centimeters by 14 centimeters in size, which is 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The paper is the same. It's 140 GSM, which is £94. You get 80 sheets, but I am not using it as 80 sheets because what I have already done in here is I have already stuck some of the pages together. Now, when you do that, you do something to get a little bit of crinkling, and you know, it's not perfect. It's not meant for mixed media as such, but I am quite happy to just have a go and use it for this. So I've just done a few ready to go. I like you get the little elastic, which helps to pull it together. So that's what I'm going to be working in today. And I'm not quite sure which fairy I'm going to use. We'll get to that in a bit. So I'll put that over here for the moment because I'm going to start off with some stenciling and some stamping. Now, I'm hoping that doesn't, I might bring you in a little bit more. There we go, just to get a little bit closer. I've chosen a few stamps. Now, these are all from the Crafty, which is a UK-based company, but these are stamps that I've had quite a while. So I'm not sure whether they'll all be available. If they are available, I will link directly to them in the description box. If they're not, then obviously you can go on to their shop and see what else is available. Or I'm sure you may have music paper as opposed to a music stamp. And the same with, you know, I think you might have other versions of numbers and things that you can use. So those are the stamps I'm going to use. I'm going to use this stencil, which is called Flowerful, which is number 41. This is by Clever Prints. Now, I do work with Clever Prints. I do design for Clever Prints. So I will say that out loud now, but I will link this in the description box. But I'm not going to use it as a stencil in the, like, stenciling through it. What I thought was I'd use it more as a bit of a stamp. So do I want to use the very first pages, or should I use the next? Let's use the next. I am going to get a little bit of a clip just to hold that side down. That just weights it down a little bit. Let's leave that out there. And I want to, actually, I'm going to put that down there. Let's move your stamps out of the way. I'm going to get my mat, and I'm going to use, I've got some colours that I thought went with the colours in the book, so hopefully they'll match. I've gone for quite sort of subtle muted colours. I've got Bundled Sage, Tattered Rose and Iced Spruce, which I thought would be quite nice. So I'm going to just smear a little bit of Tattered Rose. Now, Tattered Rose is quite a pale colour, so I'm hoping that it's going to show up. If it doesn't, I'll go over with something else, or I might even add some more stenciling. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a spritz. Let's find a water bottle that's got some water in. Oop. Perhaps should have put the lid on that first. Let's move that out the way for the moment. And then I'm going to place that down onto my page. So let's get a piece of kitchen towel just to press that down, and hopefully we'll get like a reverse print. Let's have a look. Let's see if it's worked. Quite pale, but that's fine. And I might just see if I've got any left to go on this side. Quite subtle. You might be able to see it more than me, actually. So I usually find that when you do this technique, to start with, it might sometimes look like you haven't got a lot going on, but actually as it dries, it sort of comes out more. I wanted something quite subtle in the background. I didn't want anything too bold. I wanted it to be sort of muted like the fairies are themselves. And I wanted to keep a lot of my white space going on. I will give it a very quick blast. So I like a heat tool with the more directional heat, even for drying. This one has got 2 speeds, so this is the lower speed, so it's ideal for drying. Let's give that a quick dry. I think I'm actually going to look next at what fairy I want, because I want to sort of place my stamping in a way that will frame or will mostly enhance my my fairy. So let's have a little look. And I already had a look through beforehand. I sort of want a butterfly potentially as well. She's beautiful. I think she's a bit too big for what I want. I am thinking I loved these butterflies, maybe one on the other page. That one's a bit too big, so I'm thinking this one here. So let's cut that out. Now, what I do with these books is I try to keep as much still intact in the book as I can. Now, I think I'm going to have to cut that butterfly though as well. So I'll have to cut both butterflies out. I might have them both in the page, you don't know. So that's my 2 butterflies. And oh, so beautiful. she's very pretty, but the one I thought I would like, would go nicely on here, would be this little fairy here. So I'm going to go with her because she's looking very, very thoughtful. Now, this is what sort of drew me to the music note stamp, because she's got these music notes in the background. But let's get as much as we can of that. And then I'm also thinking I might quite like a flower. They're pretty, but they're also very nice. That's a nice one. Lovely clouds. Ooh, about those. Let's have a look. They're quite pretty. I quite like those. So let's have a go with maybe these ones. Should we have one? Or should we have? Let's just have one. It's not a very big page, is it? I think we can just have one biggish. Right. So what I will do is I will, off of the video, I will now cut these out, because I will take a long time fussy cutting, and then I'll come back and we'll put them together. Okay, so I have cut out my images. Now, what I have done is, the flowers in her hair are really quite tricky to cut, fussy cut. So I have sort of given them a general sort of cut rather than a really sort of fussy cut. And I have sort of snipped probably a little bit of her hair away, but I decided I did want to keep the rest of that. But if you really didn't want to cut around this, but you didn't like this bit, you could cut some off. Now, this is like the same with the butterflies. I have chosen not to keep the antennae because they are so delicate. But, you know, if you wanted to do that, you could. Now, I have not been as precise as I could be, but I'm figuring that once it's in the background, it's probably not going to show. I have also saved a few little bits of the background elements around the images, so you can like keep the little snippets if you want to use them. The other thing I do sometimes is, sometimes when you cut out an element, it can look a bit harsh. You know, like the cut lines are very, very obvious. So I have got, these are my distress ink brushes I use for stenciling and inking. But what I tend to do is I take something like a vintage photo, like this one is. I'm not adding any more ink onto my brush. It's just what's left from other times. And I would just go around and just sort of slightly add a tiniest amount of ink. Now, the thing to remember when you're using things like distress inks is they are water reactive. So when you are sticking your collage down, you will get a little bit of movement of your ink. And that includes like in the background. All I do is I try to be a little bit more careful. If you don't want your background colours or anything to move, then when you're adding your collage mediums, like your matte medium or your glue, whatever you're adding, then you need to use something that is a permanent base. So for example, maybe your acrylic paints in the background, things like that, that won't, once they're dry, actually move at all. So that's now, I am more happy with that now. I'll just stand on there for a moment. I'm going to do the same with my butterfly. Now, I'm being quite rough, I have to admit. You could be more gentle, but these papers, they're sort of if you think of what a copier paper for your printer, you know, a normal printer paper or a photocopier paper, they're sort of that weight. So they're not, they're robust, they're thin enough to be good for collage, but they're not so fine that they're going to, you know, break easily. So if I scruffle them up a little bit, they're going to come back out. So that there's not hardly any colour now on this, but there's still a little bit as I'm going around, just to take that raw edge off. I have a thing about raw edges. I do it the same when I stamp and cut images. I like to go around the edges with either an ink or a pen, just to get rid of that raw sort of look. I just find it more pleasing. But, you know, you're sticking them quite flat. So, well, I'm sticking them quite flat. So you won't really see those edges that much. But, if you know, if you like me, and it might be something that you do want to just get rid of. I think I've literally got no ink left on that now. So I will put that one away. I've got a bit of rusty hinge on this one. Let's see. Oh, that's worked. Rusty hinge is a nice one. So, and if you've got I've torn the edges of these bits just to give them a more natural look. And that actually is really nice when you ink, because you sort of catch where the paper is torn and where the fibres are different. So you get like a different look as well. I might put a little bit more of this one just on around her wings there a little bit, just to vintage them up a little bit. So that's that. I wanted to then add a little bit of stamping behind where she's going to be. So this is why I wanted to have my images cut out, because I want to sort of place my images so that I know where I want to do my stamping. Now she's going to go here. I like to have my things looking into my pages, so I would not want to have her there. That would really bug me. But if that's the sort of the idea you want with her, then of course that's, you know, where you could put her. But I like to have my things pointing into the pages, so she's going to go there. I'm thinking that a little bit of this could become the grounding for her to stand on. I like to have things grounded, as like something to stand on, so she doesn't look like she's just floating in midair. I've got a couple of butterflies now. The flower I would like to be sort of behind her somehow here. Now, because it's nice thin paper, it doesn't matter if it goes across the middle. And then I'm thinking maybe, oops, I'm going to pick up my butterfly, maybe a little butterfly up line from behind her there, and then one down here, and then I could have my sentiment over this side of the page. So that's sort of how I'm thinking about it. I don't know whether I want to add in, I could have a little bit of that to the side there to go with my butterfly, just to give it a little bit something extra. Maybe this bit down the side here, so that again that could be like a little bit of something behind the butterfly. I'm not sure I like that butterfly there. I might put it more across the middle perhaps even. So that's where I'm thinking for that. So I've got all these stamps. I don't think I'm going to use all of them. I may mostly use this musical note background. Now there's a little bit of green in her. So I've already got the pink from the stenciling. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with this one. So this is Bundled Sage. Now I know she's mostly over here. So that is where I want to put that stamping, because I want that to be sort of behind her. Now I'm not going to worry about putting this on a block. If I'm doing sort of very random backgroundy stamping, I won't worry so much. I don't even know if this is the right way up. Let's have a go. Oh, that was quite nice. Quite good. Let's have a little bit going over here as well, just to sort of continue that flow. I want the flow across the page, and I'll put a little bit there. Let's have a look, see where she's going to be, see if she will. Because there's no point if I'm not going to see any of it. I know that she's going to cover up a lot of it, but I want to see some of it. I'm liking that. Yeah. I think that's enough, to be honest. I do wonder whether I do want something a little bit more solid as well. So I've got these Roman numerals, but I've also got like some solid numbers, which I do like a solid number, but I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'm going to go with the solid numbers. I feel like I need something a little bit more prominent in the background. So one of my favourite, I love the curly numbers. Curly numbers. So let me see, that one's going to be that way up, isn't it? If I put it back there. And let's go with the iced spruce. So we're going with a slightly darker colour, because I want this to be a little bit more prominent, but they're still distressing, so they're still not going to be like, you know, hopefully not too strong. That's okay. nice. Let's go with a number. What other number can we go with? Number 5. I always like number 5 as well. Got a nice mix of straight and curly parts to it. So let's go down here. Maybe coming off the edge slightly. Have that one a little bit more. And I think I need one more. Or just up here, perhaps. Let's go with the number 8. Might put a couple over the other side of the page as well, actually. Let's have that one there coming off the side. I'm not worried about here because I know that she's going to be covering that area up. Let's have butterfly sort of going to be over here. Let's have an 8 bit there. I wonder if I can go back over that and get that middle. No, but I'm going to leave it. And let's have again a number 5. Oop. And maybe, because I'll tell you why that hasn't stamped properly. It's because my journal is at an angle. There's nothing holding it underneath. So what I would do this time is I'm going to put my hand under there and I'm pressing from behind as well. That way I get that centre part as well. That's something I don't worry in my journaling because I'm usually just creating a background, so it's not too much of an issue. So now I need to start adding some of my, this one wasn't it I was going to have over here. In fact, if I have that over that anyway, it's not really going to matter that I didn't get the middle of that. I'm going to use Distress Collage Medium, a matte one, because I want it to all be matte in sort of tone. This is one of my favourite ones. You could tell I get through so much of this. I also use the Liquitex matte medium. I've got Deco Art matte medium. I use whatever I've got, but this is one of my favourites. But I do try and use one that is matte, just so that I don't get that glossy sort of look. And how I do my collage is I put some product down, medium down. I put it on the back of the piece of collage, and then I also then go over just to seal it in. And this will, like I said, this will dry matte, so it's not a problem. So we're going to leave the butterfly for the moment. Now this bit I have down here, and poor number 8 is like not getting to be prominent, is it? But as you can see, even though this is distressing, it's not really moving too badly. It's fine. I don't find it, really, if you're not scrubbing at it, it's usually not too bad. And this is going to be my piece to go down the bottom. I could put this down on a piece of paper or onto a board so that I'm not getting it all over my fingers, but that would be too sensible. So let's just get that there. So we've got that background part finished. So now I want her to be here, but I want the flower where check what you're doing before you stick it down. Now I'm going to have a look. I'm going to be along where this number 5 is with that flower. In fact, I could potentially not even worry about sticking the leaf down, but I don't mind it. It's going to be covered, but it gives it an extra bit of sticking place, doesn't it? So there we go. So that was here, wasn't it? Out there. And then we'll give that a little bit over the top. And then she's going to go a little bit stuck to her. And go here in contemplation. A little bit on there. I find if you put the medium down on the page as well as on the collage image itself, you don't, it sort of flattens it out nicely. But the nice thing is you can generally sort of get it back up if you not too, if you're quite quick, you can always pull it back up if you need to. Go to the top there. And then if there's a bit where you think, oh no, I think that is sticking, but that wasn't going to stick down. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of time just to make sure. Get my brush strokes all like that. Oops, that's gone. Right. Oh, I said about going across the middle, didn't I, maybe? I think I'm going to have that across the middle. Going towards her there. Maybe she's thinking that butterfly is... What I tend to do is, if I'm sticking across the middle, what I will do is I will fold my page and I will just go in like that. I find this, if you've got a rice paper, this will do this a lot easier, but because you get a bit of movement with your medium, so there you go. So hopefully that's okay. And then shall we have it that? We'll have that one that way, I think. Have it a different way. And then I want it sort of going onto that piece on the side. I like that. Now I think I am going to just let that dry, and then I'll be back and I'll decide whether I want to enhance around the edges or anything like that, so that we bring maybe her out a little bit more. Okay, so I have decided that I would like to enhance around, in particular around the little fairy girl, a little bit, but I don't want to make it too dark. So I'm thinking that because we've got this lovely grey in the background with this stamping, and she's got this sort of muted look, I'm going to go through my Inktense, my Derwent Inktense, and see if I've got grey, which I haven't actually, but ooh, maybe a brown then. So I'm thinking, let's go with bark because that's a nice brown. I thought I had a grey. Well, there you go. I think I'm thinking of my other sorts of pencils. Now these are water soluble, but they are ink based. So that's why they are Inktense. So they dry permanently, which because I've got the medium and everything on here, that is something that I would like. Now I do take colour from the tip, but I do make sure that I am only putting water on the tip, not onto the wood. I don't want water into the wood, so don't ever dip them into your water. You can also colour and then colour out with the water, but I find, let me just bring my water a bit closer, I find it quite often easier to just take a little bit of colour, and a little bit does go a long way, and I just want to go just around, particularly around the fairy. Now I might put a bit of water down first actually. Sometimes when you're using your water reactive products, if you put some water down first, that helps with your flow, and also it helps the colour to go where you want it to go, because the colour will naturally go to wherever you've put that water. So I'm not going to be too fussy. But if you do it and you think, oh, that's come out, that's a bit dark, just get a bit of water. Sort of maybe you see too much of a line that you don't want, just get a little bit of extra water and just blend that out a little bit more. Let's go down there, around here. Now I'm mostly going to focus on her because she is really the important sort of element for my journal spread. She is what I want people's eyes to be drawn towards. So I'm not worried about like enhancing the butterflies any more than they already are, but I do want her to have a little bit of a sort of a shadow around her, just so that she sort of has a little bit more interest going on. And sometimes that can just help again with that blending her in. So if you're sort of thinking, oh, I'm struggling with getting my my images to blend into the surrounding area. They look too much like this, you know, stuck on. Then doing things like this with your pencils, or if you could do this with a little bit of paint if you're confident to do that. The only thing I would say is if you use paint, obviously it dries quite quickly, and it is generally, if you're using an acrylic, it will be permanent as soon as it's dried. So you might want to use something that gives you a little bit more leeway. If you want to sort of go over your images with something a bit more water based, you could put some clear gesso over your page to provide another sort of a layer for using other products over the top. So now I've done that really, really dark, so I'm not happy. So I'll just bring it round, spread it out. That sort of gets rid of that straight away. But you will, if you haven't sort of prepped with your gessos and things, you might get a bit of sort of like changes of colour and consistency where you're going on to different sorts of surfaces. So if you've got some of your medium there, that's going to take your watery, your sort of water-based products differently to areas that haven't got any of the medium on it, that's where it's going on to just the raw paper. So that is something to be aware of. It doesn't bother me, especially in my art journal, because I always consider that my art journal is a place for me to enjoy myself, or to experiment, or to, you know, to just use my products, and I don't worry too much about you know, how it's going to overly turn out in the end. Obviously I want it to look nice, but you know, it's not really just about that. So there's a little bit of a shadow going on now. The final thing I want to add to this page, I do want to have a sentiment. I like words. I always like to have something on my pages. Now, I often do use these Tim Holtz Ideology Small Talk stickers. You'll see that I have actually got through quite a lot of these, and you get black writing on white, also white writing on black, which you'll be able to see is my favourite. But for this one, because it's a more gentle sort of page or spread, I think I'm going to go for the black and white. And do you know what? Normally I spend ages looking through these, finding the right one, but I've straight away seen the one I want, because I think it just goes with her so well. Listen to your heart, it will show you the way, because I think that's exactly what it looks like she's doing. Now, oh, that's a bit, you can tell how old mine are. They're a bit dodgy there. So I'll take that one. And you don't have to have it all in one. I'm going to in two parts, because I want to listen to your heart. It will show you the way. And when I'm sticking on my sentiments, I do tend to sort of connect them to something. I do like to sort of have that happen. So I will actually have that even on the butterfly there. I like that, yeah. And I'm going to not use my collage medium. I'm just going to use my glue for this. You do get, they are sticky, but to be honest, I always add glue anyway, because they're the sort of thing that you can remove, which is quite handy sometimes, because sometimes if you stick it down and you go, oh no, I don't actually want it there. But if you want it to then remain there, I just add a little bit of glue to the back. It's just a little bit of extra security. Oop. So let's go here. Listen to your heart. It will show you the way. Now, sometimes I then go around my sentiments with a pen just to highlight, but I actually think, because it is quite a subtle, gentle spread, I am going to leave it like that. Now, so sometimes this helps, sometimes it doesn't when I lift this up to the camera. So I'm going to lift it a little bit just so you could see it. But I will have some photos afterwards, if you watch after the end of this little bit, and so you'll be able to see it a bit more clearly. So thank you very much for watching. If you've got to the end, thank you especially. If you do enjoy my videos, do please give them a like, a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, if you could subscribe, that would be fabulous. And any comments as well, they all help to sort of promote my videos more and help me get seen. So thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening or night, wherever you are in the world. And do check out the description box below if you want to know what any of the products were in more detail or where you might find some of them. Right, thanks a lot. Bye.